Hi, everyone. Welcome to another special episode of the Walkoff. I'm again in Italy. I'm actually in San Marino right now. Anthony is home. We will both be in the same place for our next episode because we will be back at Montclair. Uh, but we've had a great summer so far, and we're going to end it on a great show. Uh, Even though I'm on my phone, we got Anthony over there, who's my statistical man. We're doing like uh, color and commentator over here. But anyways, let's jump in. We're obviously not jumping in with the happiest of news, but let's jump in with Wander Franco. Uh, 3 weeks ago, people would be saying this guy's great, he's amazing, he's got such a bright future. Well, he just threw it all away, all the entire his future all away. Anthony, you want to give us the lowdown on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people have heard, but basically there was pictures that came out that he was apparently with an underage girl. We still don't know specifics, what's exactly going on. It's an active investigation by the MLB, and I'm sure by authorities as well, since it's a legal manner. Um, Obviously not good. I still stand innocent till proven guilty. We don't know anything yet, but it's just a very bad situation. I've heard things saying he's probably not going to play again. It's all up in the air, but it's just a really rough situation. And yeah, I don't know. There's articles out there saying that MLB is going to give a decision sooner rather than later. But honestly, in these type of situations, you never really know what you're going to get. It could be tomorrow. It could be a month from now. We don't know. MLB has to have definitive evidence. They have to know exactly what's going on. It's 100% fact. They have to gather everything, make sure they know all the information that's whatever he's been doing or not been doing. So yeah, it's just a really bad look. I I don't know. It's tough because it's an active thing. Obviously, we only know so much, but it doesn't look really good at all.
No. And I mean, first of all, it's ridiculous putting yourself in jeopardy like this. I mean, I saw the pictures. I don't really know what the pictures are. I don't really want to, that's it's just weird. But anyways, there was a person inside the investigation says that he probably will never see the league again. I mean, this is embarrassment to the Rays organization, to his family, to himself. I mean, it's just insanely so stupid, so stupid. He was a great player, and now we will never see him again because he ruined his career with the most stupid things. There's allegations that are now saying that there are maybe two underage girls involved in this. He's 22 years old now, so there is no way you can say, well, maybe he met them when he was 18 because if he was 18 when he met them, they were what, 10? This is ridiculous, and I don't want to see his face in the league again. I understand that it's innocent until proven guilty, but I mean, you usually don't see many situations like this with baseball players or any athletes that end up on a good note.
Very rarely. I mean, the one incident we did see like recently, if you remember I think it was the Bills punter Matt Araiza, had like numerous terrible allegations against him, and he was just recently like exonerated. Like it was proven that he wasn't even there, and like it was proven to be fake, basically. And so he's trying to kind of get his career and his life back. But it just comes down to it's a case by case basis. It really, there's no way to know. Like I said, it is innocent to proven guilty until he's in jail. I guess this is that serious a situation until he's in jail or charged with anything. We don't know. But it's just it's the allegations are just terrible. And if there's any truth at all to any of the allegations, he should be locked away. Simple as that. It's beyond baseball. It's beyond anything. It's just really bad. I mean, I hope these allegations aren't true. I hope it's just fake allegations or whatever. Because if it's true, that means there's kids being hurt. So yeah, it's something you don't expect to be talking about when you're doing a baseball show, but it's a baseball topic. So unfortunately, so yeah, I don't know. It's just really sad on all fronts. A young star, you're supposed to be an inspiration for kids. And now I'm sure there's tons of little, Rays fans and baseball fans looking and being like, what is this guy doing? Like, why this is a guy I look up to. It's just terrible situation. It's another reminder that these guys are humans and some of them are good and some of them are bad. And you got to realize that you can't make them legends. They're still human beings and they still do terrible things too.
Exactly. you know, it's a shame to say because he was one of the league's, uprising stars, but I it's rough and it's embarrassing to see it go down like this. That's just how baseball is. And you're right, Anthony. It's stupid that we have to talk about this on a baseball show. Sports, baseball in general is supposed to be a little break away from, the harsh reality that is life. And when you get things like this and you get them in the league, you get, allegations, even fake allegations. And in the NFL, you get, Trevor Bauer, like great pitcher, being sent over to uh, China because he can't play in here because of allegations. It's awful, but it happens, and you're right. Sometimes you learn that these guys are humans. Sometimes in good ways that you see they're being nice to people, but sometimes in bad ways, like wonderful. And just you know, sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes. It sucks. It really sucks.
It definitely does, and I think it's kind of sad how people have been reacting to it. I've seen a lot of like jokes on like social media about it. Like people like this is just not one of those situations to be joking about. We're talking about either a kid or kids being harmed here, and people are making jokes and like saying, "Oh, he's situations where age doesn't matter," and they'll put Brady and they'll put Wander Franco, and it's like it's not funny. It's just stupid, and like I don't know. There's moments where fan bases could be really good and could do good things for people, but there's also moments where fan bases could just be really toxic and just it doesn't do any good for anybody. It just makes baseball fans and fans of sports in general just look really bad. And that's not to say that that's a majority at all. I know that it's a lot of times it's the voice of the minority. It gets really loud, and reality is most of it's good people that are just appalled by the situation, like we're talking about. But I don't know. It's just a really rough situation, and it doesn't make anybody look good. Anybody that's not just saying that this is a terrible situation should just be quiet because it is a terrible situation. And that's really it.
It's ridiculous. There's much better things to talk about, much good things to talk about in the world of baseball, but it's sad that this is the headline right now, and this will probably be the headline, for another week or so.
Exactly.
But anyways, let's shine some light onto the good of baseball. You know, there's always good of baseball. Julio Rodriguez, who was Rookie of the Year 2 years ago now.
I think I think it was 21. Yeah, he came up. So let me check, but yeah, pretty sure 2021. Yep.
Yeah, uh, having a little bit of a rough season to begin with. I believe he was batting around the high 250s. Just went on a huge tear. 17 hits in 4 games, if I'm correct. Uh, See, I'm on my phone. It's hard to
By the way, he was
say.
rookie of the year last year. So
Sorry,
wrong about that.
Rookie of the Year last year. Yes.
And he
Uh,
had 18 hits in his last 5 games.
18 hits in his last 5 games. I mean, that is insane. That's the craziest 5 game stretch in over 100 years. Really just boosted his season and really propelled the Mariners team to an insane, run because they swept the Astros. Whenever you hear someone sweeping the Astros, it's not like hearing like, oh, they swept the Athletics, they swept the Dodgers, or not the Dodgers, but they swept like a mediocre team. The Astros, since 2016, have been a bulldozer team. If anyone sweeps them, good or bad, it is headline news. And to do it with this insane streak going on, even more headline news.
Yeah, I mean, it also puts them right back into the race for the division. So right now, I know this is something we were going to discuss later, but it's in the topic now, so why not? It's Rangers in first, Astros 2.5 behind, Mariners 3. So you have the first 3 teams in the division all separated by 3 games. I mean, you see that very rarely in late August. That's whenever you see that, you're set for a really good pennant race. And so this is definitely the AOS, one of those divisions to watch. Also, one of the teams not being mentioned, and this is the Angels, how bad they've been since the deadline. Let's keep in mind what they did at the deadline, trying to make themselves World Series contenders. And me and you both, called that out and said it wasn't going to happen. We've been proven right. They're
Mm-hmm.
not even in discussion. And so, it's just sad to see for baseball fans because what would be better than Ohtani and Trout in the pennant race? But anyway, yeah, I mean, this is a stretch we literally haven't seen in 100 years. I think it was Jimmy Johnson was the guy's name, whatever, 1923.
Yes,
Um,
something great.
yeah, literally, yeah, Jimmy Johnson 100 years ago had 19 hits, so one more hit. If he gets, I think the Mariners play today, so if he gets a hit today, he ties them. But yeah, I just whenever you're talking about 100 year difference, that's pretty crazy.
It's you always look back and I think like, oh wow, like, you know, no one could stand up to Babe Ruth, no one could stand up to Ted Williams. But like then you look at these records that, in all fairness, you might never see a Ted Williams or a Babe Ruth again. But Julio Rodriguez is proving that, players today can still bowl. And the kids let the kids play, he is doing it perfectly. I've always been a huge fan of Julio Rodriguez. And you want to know, I think I said 2021 because I remember Kyle Lewis was the rookie of the year back in 2020. So, anyways, for the Mariners, wow, all those. But, anyways, Julio Rodriguez propelling the Mariners onto a better stretch. Luis Castillo is on the mound today. They're going to go for, I think, their sixth one in a row, something crazy like that. But again, you love to see it from this team. I love to see it from this team. For a team that broke their postseason drought last year of over 20 years, and now potentially they at 2 weeks ago they looked like they were going to go right back into a drought. Now it looks like they might have just rejuvenated themselves.
Yeah, let me ask you, who do you got for this division? I mean, personally, I'm sticking with the Astros. I believed in the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I've had some bad takes over this year. I admit that, but the Astros, since beginning of the year, I still believe in them. I believe in them more now that they have Justin Verlander back. I think that's a very underrated pickup. He's not what he was last year, but he's still a very good pitcher. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Astros. But I'm curious, what do you think? AL West, who do you got?
Oh, I really love the moves that the Rangers made at the deadline. I like Jordan Montgomery a lot. Uh, I like Max Scherzer. I think he's showing a couple of better signs than he was before. But it's hard to go against the Astros. It's like, yeah, you have this new powerhouse of team, but like the Astros are so good. I do think I'm gonna stick with the Rangers though. I think they pull it out. I don't think by much, and I think it's really I think it's more of like a game and a half, a game or two that really decides the entire division. But I I would really love to see the Rangers win.
Yeah, you mentioned Scherzer. The guy has like a 1 ERA ever since joining them, something like that. Where has this came from? I look. I don't think it's gonna last. I think his arm's gonna fall off,
I
and
think too.
like,
I think that's
especially if they go deep into the playoffs. But like, it's just most of the players the Mets gave up haven't done anything like amazing. In fact, most of them have been kind of bad. But Scherzer has been just like all of a sudden he looks like he was 10 years ago. Like it's just I know it's probably not, but if it does last, man, he pitches really good in the playoffs, it's just gonna be it's just so Met like. I mean, you can't get more Met like.
I like I don't know if you saw. I don't know if we actually talked about it. We didn't talk about it last year about how the comments that he made about the Mets organization. Or we did. We did. It's just so out of pocket. Like he's the guy that kind of makes these comments and then has the work to back it up.
Well, did you see what Verlander
So
had to say in contrast about his about the Mets? There was a report.
yeah,
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, there was a report that said that Justin Verlander was a diva and that he complained about the analytics department and stuff like that. And so Verlander's put out like a quick statement saying like, "Hey, I enjoyed my time there. I'm sorry if there was a staff member that didn't like my criticism, but I wish the Mets the best." I have zero issue. Like Verlander, I wish the guy the best. I don't have any like. In fact, I hope he's success. I have no problem with him. Um, Scherzer showed the exact way not to handle it, and Verlander showed the way to handle it. And I don't know why Scherzer handled it the way he did, for revealing private conversations. We've gone into that and all, but one handled it like a seasoned veteran, and the other is a seasoned veteran also, but handled it like a 22-year-old or something. It didn't make sense. So I don't know. I got a lot more respect for Verlander than I do for Scherzer.
No, I agree with that fully. You know, even like as a non-Met fan, like you see that statement come out, see what Scherzer says compared to what Verlander says. Like quite honestly, like even if there was something going, like Verlander had the respect for the organization that he could say that. Like he doesn't have to say that. He doesn't have to come out and say that. He can, keep quiet and Mets fans can hate him and he could care less because he's on the Astros now. He's probably not going back to that. So, but he had the respect and he's a nice guy. Even like seeing him in the World Series again, like I hated it because he was so good, but like it was almost nice to see him win that ring for the Astros. So, I'll admit, yes, I do have respect for Justin Verlander. I think it's pretty cool that old teammates are now fighting for, a number one spot in the division. Uh, I think that's always been cool, but I don't actually know Verlander's exact numbers since joining the Astros. I know he's been like a little bit up, a little bit down. I know Scherzer had that rough first inning with the Rangers, but has since been pretty good. We'll have to see. I mean, again, that AL West is stacked with the Mariners coming up. Angels have crashed entirely. I mean, it's really Otani against the world over there. Uh, don't even talk about the A's and then, Astros, Astros, Rangers, and Mariners have been incredible in baseball. I love to watch good teams play ball. If I'm not watching the Phillies, these are three teams that I'll always put on. You always want to watch these great teams. And in this race, it might not be just who wins the AL West. It might be a who goes to the World Series.
It could very well. I mean, we've talked about kind of this whole time we've had the show how good it is to have a mix of veterans, have a mix of young players, and these three teams are kind of an example of that. I mean, you're talking about Mariners have 22-year-old Julio Rodriguez, whatever it is, competing against the Astros, a team that has a 40-year-old on it. That's pretty like I think that's pretty cool. You're having different generations of baseball players competing at the highest level, tops of their game. You don't see that too often. I mean, we saw I mean, not that we saw, we weren't there, but when Nolan Ryan was, at the end of his career, he was pitching against like Jose Canseco. He was pitching against kind of like the stars of the late 80s, early 90s. And you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
really two different generations of player, but they're playing against each other. I always find that really cool when like a one player's at the end of his kind of like in football, Tom Brady versus Mahomes, like two generations of football, but they're playing against each other at high levels. Like I've always enjoyed that about sports. And I think like with this division right now, you're kind of seeing that. Like all three of these teams, I guess aside from the Mariners, really don't have too many veterans on them. But aside with the Rangers and Astros, two teams that have really young good players and a couple of old veterans that are still really doing really well. So yeah, I mean, I pulled up Verlander's numbers. He's been pretty good since he joined the Astros. I underestimated him. Scherzer's been good also, but Verlander's last 7 games, 1.85 ERA, last 15, 2.99. So, you know, he's also been pretty good since he's left the Mets. But yeah, it's going to be two enemies like Verlander and Scherzer. They really apparently don't like each other. The whole career they've had a bickered with each other, friendly competition and all that. It's going to be fun seeing them go up against each other for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously sucks for the Mets, but you get a lot of future out of that. I mean, we talked about this before, but a lot of future from both trades, and a lot of future Mets in both trades. Um, Now, Anthony, we're kind of talking a little bit about ownership here. We're talking about, players that, you know, old and new, that takes ownership. Uh, we saw this week owner John Angelos of the Orioles, who we've known has made some questionable decisions, with the announcing job and everything, said the only way that we can keep this young core in Baltimore is by raising prices massively. That is insane. Uh,
We're talking about a guy that has a net worth. I mean, not that googling net worth is the most accurate way of saying someone's worth. I understand that, and if someone's is off, but the bottom when you Google it, it says $2 billion. Now, even if that's off by even $1 billion, even if that, which is a lot of money, but if that's off by $1 billion, that still means he's a billionaire. Now,
yeah.
I'm never gonna cry about a billionaire crying about money. It's just I'm not. And so this guy has the money to extend literally every single one of these guys when they hit their contract and give them whatever they want. Bottom line is he doesn't want to do that because then he's not going to make a profit. He's in the business. I get it. He's in every one of these owners are businessmen and they want to make profits. With the except, I mean, Steve Cohen wants to make a profit, but he's a little more willing to take a loss because he's the richest owner in the game. And there's a couple other owners that are a little more willing to take losses too. But the bottom line is every owner wants to make a profit, and I get that. They're businessmen. That's fine. But to say that you're going to put the pressure on the consumer and say the only way this is going to happen is we raise our prices massively, which is kind of just like a condescending way of saying, well, we know you guys aren't going to pay for it. So if these guys go elsewhere, it's going to be your fault. If Adley Rutschman goes elsewhere, if Gunnar Henderson goes elsewhere, it's going to be because you guys didn't pay an extra $5 for a hot dog and a beer. Like, really? Like, that is just it's just insulting to the fans. I feel worse for the Royals fans. I mean, it's been a rough few weeks for them with you mentioned the announcer and all that. The team's still playing well, which is it's weird to say it's a rough few weeks because the team's been playing well, but it's just been weird PR wise to do that to the announcer and to have the owner saying dumb stuff. You're not gonna make your fans very happy when these are working class people being told, well, we got to rise the price on you instead of me just taking a little bit of a loss. It's just stupid and makes the owners look really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But in all honesty, like there is a lot of prospects in that organization. Gunnar Henderson, uh, Jackson Holiday, who's not even up yet, uh, Grayson Rodriguez, Adley Rutschman. I mean, the list goes on and on. Having that said, you know, the way that he said massive, it's so stupid, so stupid. And I know from experience, a year ago, Phillies tickets were like $18 for like really nice seats. Now they're like $40 for really nice seats. It's because they went to the World Series. And in all honesty, the Orioles haven't been to the World Series since what, 1983? No, I don't think so. Like if you have to move up prices, it's because your team is doing something, not because you need to pay for something like that. That's ridiculous. Jackson Holiday is not even. Most of these guys are working on small contracts because they're new. You know, don't go BSing your fan base because that's going to make them angry. If anything, the Orioles, I would hate John Angelos right now if I was an Orioles fan. I'm not really going to. I'm not really going to an Orioles game anytime soon, so this doesn't really affect everyone. But anyone that's an Orioles fan should really hate this. Anyone that's a baseball fan should hate this.
Yeah, it's just bad look. And the fact that he's saying this already, like keep in mind, these guys are all, and you mentioned not even all of them are up, but these guys that are up are still on rookie deals for another few years. So this isn't going to be a question for a little while. And the fact that he's already setting the groundwork for fans to be disappointed for these guys to be going elsewhere is a bad sign. Like you don't just she could have easily said, well, we'll see when we get there. That's still a little while away. Obviously, we love having Gunnar, we love having Adley, we love having our young players. We want to build sustainable success. Right now, I'm really just enjoying the season, and I'm looking to the off season right now. You could have said that; nobody would have batted an eye. Instead, he's saying, "Well, the only way we're going to get to keep these guys, it's on you guys, the consumers. We got to raise your prices. If you're not willing to pay $60 to park and pay an extra 20 for food, pay an extra 100 for your ticket, it's on you. It's on the working class people. Like it's just, especially you got to realize coming off of, we almost had a lockout not that long ago. People aren't very happy with the owners as it is. This isn't an era of good feelings with the, fans versus the owners and even the players versus the owners. So how are players looking at this? If you're a free agent next year, do you want to sign with the Orioles? Maybe you'll get a good amount of money because they're going to be spending it because they don't have to extend any of these guys for a while. But, if you're say Julio Urias, by the time you're 30, Henderson might be gone, Rutschman might be gone, all this young talent might be gone, and the Orioles might suck again. So why would I want to go there? Like it's not good PR for your fans, and it's also not good PR for players you want to entice to come to your team. It seems like they're screwing up the perfect opportunity. They have the perfect opportunity to have young players be good for a while. They're already ahead of schedule, with this year. Nobody expected them to be going this far this year, and they are. So you could already be ahead of schedule, maybe even next year go really deep in the playoffs, and you're telling players, well, we might not contend years from now because I don't want to spend money. Like, what is your business strategy? That's not a good business strategy whatsoever.
No, I don't. I don't like it. I don't respect it. It's stupid, and I, I don't know. You can obviously see why this team was 47-15, like what, 5 years ago now. It's because of awful ownership. I mean, you can't keep doing this. Like again, we're going right back to it. Like teams are made of veterans and young guys. Like you need those veterans. And honestly, if the Orioles are going to be hurt anywhere, it's because of veterans. And veterans take money to get. If you are, come out here and you don't want to spend the money, then guess what? Your team is going to fail. You know, I'm going to say, and I'm probably going to regret this, I guarantee. But the Orioles are one of those cases that you don't get to see a lot. A lot of young players are doing very well. It seems like they're all clicking together. And yeah, maybe it's because they're all young. They all have something to bond over, that they're all new to the league. They all, love it so much, which is amazing. But you still need a veteran. Every team has that. Bryce Harper, Francisco Lindor. It goes across the league. And if you're not willing to spend money to go get that veteran, and you just want to keep on growing people from your own system, that's great. But it always takes that one piece to make it a veteran. You need leadership. And if you're not willing to spend that, like you will see another 47, 115 season. I guarantee.
Not to mention, you're not going to strike gold like this every single time. Like,
No,
really, they've been bad for a while. So obviously, eventually, it was going to click, but it's come about so quickly. And if you are willing to, as all these young guys hit their primes and ready to get their mega contracts, if you're willing to just let them go, you might not have another season like this again, where you draft young guys, they all come up, and then you go for, like, if that's your strategy to only ever just call them up and then hold on to them on their first contracts, and if that doesn't work, then just get rid of them and suck again. If that's your strategy, you're not going to win. Like, unless you really have a miracle season, you're not going to win. It's very, very rare for a team full of young players like that to all come together and win a World Series. You could count on one hand how many times it's happened in Major League history. Like you said, every team that wins, yeah, they might have some guys that are under 25 on them and, are on their rookie deals and all that. But for the most part, there's a mix of those guys, and there's a mix of old guys, and there's a mix of guys right in their prime that you sign for big money. That's what the most part of, and the Orioles right now are saying, we're not, as long as I'm owner, John Angelos, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to only bring up my minor league guys, and if that doesn't work, well, we're going to suck. Like, that's the message he's sending right now. In the middle of an amazing, probably the best season they've had, she's in, I don't know, 15, 20 years. It's been a long
I
time.
agree.
So
Absolutely.
I don't know. I don't get it. It's just, maybe it's just one of those cases where John Angelos is better in just regular business than he is in sports. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I'm not an expert on John Angelos, but I do know enough to say that this is just bad on all fronts. And there's no reason to be a distraction this much in a season where you should just be the best thing you could do as an owner right now is be quiet. Don't say anything. Say, I'm proud of my team. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I'm going to do what it takes to win in the off season if we don't win this season. And, I'm really proud of my guys. That's all you got to say. Instead, you're telling all the free agents to stay away. So I don't know. I feel bad for you Orioles fans. Hopefully, you strike lightning in a bottle this year and win it. I really am rooting for the Orioles, man. They've gone longer than the Mets without winning, and I know how that feels to go really that long. And I know how it feels to have an owner you don't like. So, go Orioles. I hope they do well.
I agree too. I'm a big Orioles fan. The orange and black is always fun to watch. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best for Orioles players. John Angelos. I mean, dude, like grow a pair. Come on, just you got to do something for your team. I really don't like what he's doing at all. But I mean, that's from two baseball fanatics over here. But what are we to say? We have a little bit more news. Two big prospects got called up recently. One for the Detroit Tigers, Parker Meadows, who's actually brothers to Austin Meadows, a former major leaguer who's really good. Had some, mental health struggles, but he's doing very well. Anthony has the stats on him.
Yeah, let me see. Of course, my webpage is just failing me as you say that. But, yeah, I'm all for. I mean, the other one that we'll talk about, Kyle Harrison. that's a little bit
Mhm.
of a different situation because it's the San Francisco Giants who are literally holding a wild card spot right now. I look at that as a little bit more desperation. But for this, I mean, the Detroit Tigers, as your brother can attest to, are very bad right now. So, I have no problem with it. Let me pull up his numbers if they'll finally load for me.
If
Um,
I can say though, really quickly while you're pulling up those stats, I have seen because I'm always around my brother, so I know what he thinks of the Tigers, and I've seen Tigers games lately. I don't really see Royals games, I don't really watch A's games, but I've seen a huge bright future with these Tigers. Spencer Torkelson has really been lighting up the ball recently. He's up to I think 22 home runs. Javi Baez sucks, but Riley Green, who just got injured recently, and that's why Parker Meadows is coming up. And now you see Tarek Skubal, who my brother definitely yelled at since I pronounced his name, and Casey Mize, some big guys. So I don't think they're going to be an Orioles level, but I think with a couple moves and some veteran, offense on that team, and sadly with the leaving of Miggy, uh, I think this team is a bright future. Anyways, yes, Parker Meadows is coming up. He batted around 250, I believe.
yeah, he
Am I
right
right?
now. So in 2023, he's in AAA, 256 average, 337 on base percentage, 474 slugging. In his 5 seasons in the minors, he was batting 244 average, 323 on base, and 406 slugging. So not amazing numbers, but he is their number 10 prospect. So there's really no reason not to give him a shot. See what you got. Uh, just from the outside looking in, I don't know how confident I am in him. You never know, but he is a little bit, on the older side when it comes to a prospect. I think he's 23, 24 around there. Um,
Mm.
so some guys are late bloomers, and you never know what you're gonna get. But it's worth a shot. Why not? The Tigers are in a miserable season right now. They're not playing for anything other than seeing some prospects. So you never know. Maybe he'll have some success.
Yeah, absolutely. I know he got called up because of an injury by Riley Green, and I also saw that the Tigers didn't want him to call him up even this early. So I mean, you're talking about age right now. They said that he's still having problems, chasing pitches outside the zone. So this is probably you're right. I mean, this is definitely a desperation call. But our other guy, Kyle Harrison, Giants number one prospect. I mean, you were talking, we were talking about this before, so I know this off the top of my head because Anthony told me that he has a above 4.5 ERA.
Yeah, so
Uh,
his 2023 stats, 1-3, 4.5 ERA in 21 games, 67 innings. So it's not a huge sample size. His whole minor league stats are 9-9, 3.32 ERA in 69 games. So really, he hasn't played all that much in the minors when you consider it. I mean, it's well under 100 career starts. Um, but this is like I was alluding to it earlier. This is my problem: is they're bringing him up as a patch fix. They didn't do enough to fix their rotation. Their rotation isn't terrible, but it's also got a big problem right now in injuries. Right now, Ross Stripling's on the injured list, 15-day injured list. Disclafani's on a 60-day. Right now the rotation got Logan Webb as your number one guy. It's not looking too great. You have some talent there, but it's also kind of in shambles right now with the injuries. So you're talking about your number one prospect, and I wouldn't. The Mets did something similar to this with Francisco Alvarez, if you remember last year. Um, the Mets were in a obviously heated pennant race with the Braves, and up before the biggest series of the year, they call a 21-year-old Francisco Alvarez up. Now it's not before the biggest series of the year here or anything. It's not as late as it was last year, but you know this is. I still don't think this is a good move. I if you don't have enough this season, fine, but don't go to your number one prospect and potentially jeopardize him. Make him get in his head, whatever. If he does badly, there's no point to that. If you only make the wild card this year and you fail, whatever, reevaluate your team in the offseason. But this isn't the spot for I think he's 22-year-old, number one prospect to be going in. It's give him some time in AAA. He hasn't even had 100 career minor league starts. I mean, he was drafted in 2020. Let him develop a little bit. He's a lefty too. We know lefties take a while to develop in the minors sometimes. Sometimes lefties don't come up to the 24, 25 years old. So give the guy some time to develop. I think it's just maybe he'll have success. But even if he does have success, I still don't think he's ready. So I don't know. I just think it's a desperation move, and I don't think it's going to work out too well.
I like that analysis. I really do like that analysis. Kyle Harrison, uh, he's got some good stuff. I know that, but you could see this obviously as a desperation move. Giants like holding on to a playoff spot right now. They're going into a big series right now with my Phillies, uh, who are two of the three wild card teams. This is a desperation move. I know he pitches tomorrow, um, for his first start ever in the major leagues. I I'll tell you something, and I'd be really embarrassed if this is true. But the Phillies are awful with the strikeout. I have a bad feeling tomorrow he's going to have a good start. It's going to look really good, but it's just going to be in like, the eyes of the strikeout. Might give up 3 runs, but he'll have like 7 strikeouts. People are going to go, and then he'll get rocked by another team because the Phillies strike out like crazy. I think last year Giants weren't even in the playoffs. This year, in late August, early September, potentially having a playoff spot, I call that a success. 2 years ago, like whenever I talk about fluke teams, I always mention the 2021 Giants because out of nowhere they won 100. They won over 100 games, and they were first in at least the NL. I don't know about the A, but first in the NL. You don't need to replicate that. Not yet. Brandon Crawford's still on the team. And I think until Brandon Crawford leaves, the new Giants will not start. And that's just something that I've always
There's still, I mean, they're still troubled by injuries in large part because they are still an older team. They're not as old as they were in 21. They do have some younger pieces in there, but they're not ready yet. I think even Giants fans would agree with us. Right? They're not okay. They go to a wild card spot. Maybe they luck into winning the wild card and going to the division series. That could happen. But really, are they going to go any deeper than that? Probably not. So I don't know. I never agree with bringing up prospects in situations like this unless they've been in the minor leagues for a while, they're established, and they are 100% ready. And in this situation, you don't got to be an expert on this guy to say that that's not the case. It's just not. He doesn't even have 100 starts, anywhere near 100 starts in minors. His numbers in the minors this year have been pretty bad. So, and he's a lefty. So give the guy time. I don't know. It's just if you were gonna really want to make a run this year, you should have done more at the trade deadline. Sorry, like you should have done more to repair your.
plain and simple. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
it comes down to the front office.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll be honest. I really don't see anything in this Giants lineup that just screams him. I will say actually, I really do like Patrick Bailey. I like Patrick Bailey. He's the rookie. He's the rookie catcher right now. I like him. That's about it. Logan Webb has been disappointing in my eyes. This entire team has been disappointing, and I get it. They're hanging on to a playoff spot right now. I don't think that's going to last. I don't really care about Kyle Harrison coming up. I hope he has a good start, but I really do believe, not just because you said me, even though you are such a great MLB analyst. Uh, I do agree that yes, even if he has some success here, who's to say about next year? It's too early. I think all Mets fans can talk about. Oh my gosh, I just blanked out his name. Plays for the Mariners now. Yeah. Oh, he was a big prospect. He was in the.
Eric Kelman.
Yes, thank you, Jared Kelly. He got brought up so early and he looked awful for so long. And Jose Alvarez. Obviously, he's doing really good right now, and Mets fans have to be proud of him. I love watching. But you don't want to see success, just a small bit of success for a ruined career. You don't want to see a ruined career because they got brought up too early. And you hate to see that for Kyle Harris, who I think would be really good if he had more time in line.
Yeah, lefties especially, it's a very tough slope because a lot of unless you're like all time great or really really good, you're gonna have ups and downs as a pitcher in general, but especially as a lefty. I mean, uh, go through most lefties in Major League history. They take a while to develop. You know, usually they pitch longer than normally because they come up later. And this guy's going to be by far the youngest lefty in baseball, and he's coming into a situation where he's going to have immense pressure on him from a franchise that wants to win. So, you know, I don't know. I agree with you about 2021. I think that was a fluke year. I think it was just one of those years where everybody had a career year and it kind of came together.
Mhm.
The same way the Mets this year, everybody had the worst year of their career and everything fell apart. It was kind of just one of those years where it was kind of out of nowhere and it happened, but it doesn't mean that it means anything in terms of the future. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you look at, even though they've gotten younger, you look at right now. I mentioned Stripling, Desclafani hurt. Tyro Estrada's day to day. Brandon Crawford's on the 10-day injured list. Yastrzemski's on the 10-day injured list. AJ Pollock, even though he's not a starter, 10-day injured list. There's so many injuries on this team. A team that even when they're healthy isn't more than a wild card team. So why do this? I know we sound like a broken record, but I don't know. I hope the guy has success, but I don't see anything really good coming out of this other than maybe a little bit of success, but I just don't think he's ready.
I agree. I agree. And also, how many starts did he have in AAA?
Let me see. Let me pull it up. I know he had 69 total in his whole minor league career. Um Let me pull up his stats. So he had 21 starts this season, 69 total.
In AAA? He had
21 starts this season. So yeah,
okay. All right. I don't think that's it. I I really don't like these half seasons in AAA. I think AAA is the closest thing you're going to get to the major leagues. And if you have an over 4.5 ERA in AAA, then obviously you're going to have troubles in the major leagues. I mean, come on. I don't see that many players go from 4.5 to 2 ERAs because they're facing better hitters. Are you kidding me? No, no. Seriously, you need more time. And if the Giants really want success, you're right. Deadline. They should have made moves at the deadline, not now in late August. Plain and simple.
totally agree.
Also, I don't remember his name. I blanked on his name, but the Angels prospect that got called up, uh, that they just drafted like 6 months ago. He goes in the books as like one of the earliest players to be brought up to the majors, along with Gary Sheffield, who I love Sheffield. But I don't know if anyone saw, but in his first game, he got it hit. The Angels had a triple play. Otani had a grand slam, and the Angels lost 9-6. So if that doesn't sum up the Angels season, I don't know. Just
It just seems like everything with these Angels have just been bad. Uh, I don't know. It's another team. I feel terrible for. I feel terrible for the fans. You're about to, Otani, the biggest star we've seen in however many years, about to leave. Yeah, I don't know. They've given away a lot of their farm system already. Yeah, it's rough.
and I don't know if anyone saw, but Otani had a really good game, and then they lost, and they like showed him on the dugout at the end, and he was like holding back tears. And like I think a lot of people for like a lot of different situations would be like, oh, he's got billions of dollars, he's fine and everything. But like you're being put through this torture of like you have two of the best players in baseball on your team, and you can't even have a winning record. Wow. I mean, imagine going into the Hall of Fame and being like, he only played 3 postseason games, Mike Trout. Like,
Yeah, nothing's promised, and I was got to be in the back of Otani's head saying like, "Look, I'm in my late 20s now. Talk about injury risk. He's really for injury risk. The guy's on the field more than any other player. He's pitching, he's fielding, and he's hitting. He does literally everything. And he's got to be sitting there thinking, like, man, I already have whatever it is, 5 seasons in baseball, not played one playoff game, and any moment I could have a career-ending injury and not even in the playoffs. I'm sure that's at the. How could it not be at the back of your head?
that
So
has to be.
yeah, I
I,
feel bad for him.
it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean, talk about it. An awful. I, I I wouldn't be surprised if they lose everything this year. It's just my trend. I think my prediction at the start of the season was my hot take was that they won't have Trout or Otani by the end of the season. I mean, that's wrong because the deadline passed and they still have both. But by the end of just by the start of the 2024 season, I mean, I couldn't touch it. I don't know.
Well, Otani's a lock to be gone.
Yeah,
Trout's still got time left on that contract. I forget
yeah,
exactly how much, but he's got time left. Unless
he's
he's
got
traded. Yeah, unless he's traded in. I don't see him being traded in the offseason. I just don't see them doing it. They've never shown willingness to part ways with any of the stars that they do have. And if they were going to trade Trout, they should have done it earlier than this next offseason because you could have gotten more. Trout's still a very good player, but he's also older now, and he's also had
and
injuries.
he's big.
And his
Yeah,
back could give out at any moment. So, yeah, if there's anybody that they should have gotten rid of, it was obviously Otani at the deadline, but they should have gotten rid of Trout a year or two ago and just been done, restarted, try to put together what the Orioles are doing now. Get some young kids in that system, and they're left right now with giving away so many young kids at the deadline, not redoing their farm system like they could have with Otani, and they're gonna who knows what they're gonna look like next year. I don't know. It's gonna be rough.
I agree. Now, sadly, we are coming to the end of our show. Uh, Before I do my tradition, I always ask Anthony how he's doing. He tells me how bad the Mets are doing, which, believe me, cannot wait to hear. I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming and listening to the walk off for the entire summer. We'll be, you know, we're going to try out some new things for this upcoming semester. We're going to try a video, try to do a lot more with social media. It's been a little rough, but I just want to quickly say thank you for everyone who listened in on the show. And we hope to see you in uh, year 2 of the walk off. Anthony, any setting this up?
Looking forward to in person. No more Zoom difficulties. No more,
Sure.
no more having to fix out the time zones and all that. But we'll be all in one place, so it'll be good. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. We definitely got to figure out some way have maybe like live stream the video to YouTube or something. I don't know, whatever.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah, we got to figure something out. But I've really enjoyed it, man. It's been fun, and I look forward to continuing it all 4 years of college, man. It'll be fun.
absolutely. And really quickly, Anthony, I gotta thank you for sticking through this with me. I mean, it's been a long summer. I got a great co-host to help me throughout the entire thing. But anyways, Anthony, how you want to send this show up? Oh, really quickly, before we do, big question that I've been asking myself all summer. Is that Curtis Granderson behind you?
It is Curtis Granderson. I'll give you a closer look at the great Curtis Granderson.
I knew it.
Yes, it is. I love Curtis Granderson. Curtis Granderson is one of the most underrated Mets. I love that guy.
I love Curtis Granderson too. All right, Anthony, how you want to end off this show?
I'll end off the show with this. The Mets are now closer to a wild card spot than the New York Yankees, which is the funniest thing. I mean, by no means should anybody take that as me having any faith in the Mets. That I'm not stupid, but it's just funny to me that the Yankees are now 9 games out of a wild card spot, and Mets are 8 or whatever. I'm not going to look it up because the Mets are. I know the Mets are like 8 or 7.5 or whatever. But yeah, I thought that was funny. And Aaron Boone should go. Hal Steinbrenner should go. And yeah, if any Yankee fans are listening, you should be very annoyed that you are now further away from a wild card spot than the Mets that literally are putting guys off the street on the team. So I'll leave it with that.
I love it. I love it. We're gonna end the show. The Phillies. I saw this little tweet today that said Phillies 2023 Phillies. Every 30 seconds, I'm going. They're gonna win the World Series. To what are we doing? And that is how I feel every single time. I mean, right now, while we were recording this show, Jock Peterson hit a leadoff home run against us and the Phillies. So I love this team. I love watching baseball. Cannot wait to watch the rest of baseball. But I really hope these Phillies straighten up. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for coming once again. We will see you we'll see you in a week, hopefully. I don't know exactly when our show is going to be. Montclair still needs to figure that out, but that's our problems. So it's not in our hands, at least. But we'll figure that out and we will get you a show as soon as possible. As for me and Anthony, thank you so much for coming and we'll see you soon.